Alright, today, we're visiting the forest that's below sea level. That's right, it's Deep Forest. Actually, wait, isn't that from Kingdom Hearts? Oh well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Deep Forest, we're fighting Soldier Stonekong. Who looks incredibly grumpy. Alright, so Soldier Stonekong stage is one I would say I like overall. It's kind of a weird one, though. So, the first section is fairly long, fairly straightforward. The second section is so much shorter, and then it's the boss, so it's kind of a weird one. Also, if you want all of the collectibles in this stage, probably going to want to go with Axel Zero instead, because there is something we need Zero's double jump for. We also need Axel for a lot of things, including copying those Stone Men enemies. Anyway though, so, as for topic of discussion today, I want to talk about the characters. So, X and Axel I both have a decent amount of stuff to say for. So I'm going to start with Axel and Zero today. Starting with Zero overall because I don't really have that much to talk about with him as a character in this game. Because honestly, he's kinda done, more or less. Like, he is the consistent character of this game. Just emotionally, he's kinda finished all his stuff, more or less. As I said in X5, he kinda just finished all of his plot stuff, and the original ending was supposed to be him going to bed until the Mega Man Zero series happened. But since that's not happening, he's here now, and he doesn't really have anything to do, because, again, he's just kind of done. Like, he has faced his past, he has kinda come to terms with it, more or less. He's gotten all the major problems out of the way. He's kind of acknowledged that he is a creation of some scientist who quite clearly was a bit of a dick. But it seems like Sigma is more obsessed with Dr. Wily than Zero is, so it's not really that much of a deal anymore. He's awakened, he's gotten past being awakened, he's died, he's gotten past being dead, so in this game, he's sort of just the guy who has been here. Like, we needed a good, emotionally consistent character, because X is gone for a decent amount of the game, and Axel's the new guy, so Zero kinda just has to be the rock of the group, I guess, I would say, just of this now trio of a group we have in the X series. He's gotta be the guy who has his shit together. Which, famously, he really was not prior in the X series, but no, now he's kind of the serious Zero that you might know if you don't know the X series super well. He's pretty straightforward, not much nonsense. And he's got a sword, and he's very cool. But yeah, most of his stuff is done. Also, pro tip, I tried to shoot these guys about 12 times, before using the A-Trance shot on them. It's not exactly 12 before they're weakened enough to just shoot them and get their DNA, but I account for the fact that I probably completely miscount. It's better to underkill than to overkill. I've got HP, I don't want to have to respawn these guys if I can help it. Anyway though, yeah, that's Zero. He is the consistent guy. Axel, on the other hand, of course, is the new character. And, boy, does he have basically everything working against him as a character. I mean, first off, regardless of whether or not you like him or not for the writing, he was kinda doomed from the start, because he is the new character, so a new character in a series like this that has mostly been pretty consistent, and, in fact, people still don't exactly like the characters they started to introduce in X5 either. So, I think people assume this is kind of a jump the shark situation, Like, oh, the series is getting worse, and, you know, X7 doesn't have a good reputation as it is, so obviously Axel's going to be lumped in with that. He's gonna take part of the blame for things being bad, even though it's not entirely on him. Look, X7 is the way it is, and even though new character mechanics do factor into why it's a bit of a weird game, it's not entirely on Axel as a character. Now that being said, Axel, of course, is very much the, scrappy-do type of character, and I do just mean that in the sense that he's the new guy who's also very aggro, not just in the I've read TV tropes way. Also, yeah, X does eventually get mobility. He can glide, which isn't as good as a double jump or Axel's, hover, but it's okay. Better than nothing, at least. But yeah, that being said, Axel is the guy who's here, and he's way more fine with shooting things than X ever was. And I don't know, I feel like it's kind of a go-to trope to add an aggro character, you know? Like, okay, we've got the group, we've settled the group, we know their dynamics. What would really mix these guys up as characters? Okay, well, this guy's got attitude and a lot of energy. So, you know, that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, of course. X7's writing doesn't exactly help either. Like, look, I don't mind Axel exactly as a character in this game. Honestly, it kind of does just remind me of, like, Silver the Hedgehog, right? A lot of... I just realized these guys are fucking pogging, goddammit. Also, this is the second section I was talking about that's really weird. This is the section where you just shoot these guys to death. I think in vanilla you get a heart container for doing this, but that is elsewhere in this hack. But yeah, like, the poor translation quality isn't exactly going to help Axel out, but to be fair, X's 5 and 6 originally weren't well translated either, and that wasn't the entire source of their problems, but, you know, seeing the better translation for these LPs has been kinda nice. I think it definitely helps the characterization overall in these games. And I wish that was viable for this game, but there's voice acting in it, so unless they want to take that away, they kinda have to keep the dialogue the same. And no, I'm not using an undub. Undubs are for cowards. I'm just saying that right now. Damn, this guy's got an ass.
Why? Why do you insist on fighting?
My name is Soldier Stonekong. It's kind of my thing.
Strength. What is war?
A method for imposing one's will upon another.
That's right, I had an answer ready for that.
Now, no more talk.
And I'm fine with that answer too. I love imposing my will on others. Here I go, doing that now. Let our swords speak for us.
But I use a gun.
Alright then, ready your gun. What is a bullet but just a very tiny sword launched at a very high speed?
What? No. No! Anyway, cool thing about this boss is that, you can actually blow up his sword and shield, which is pretty neat. Also, for this attack, you're either going to want to use Zero's double jump, or Axel's dodge rolls. Thank you, iframes. So the thing I actually really like about this boss is that this is technically a 2D section, but it actually plays with the 3D space pretty well. So you can actually shoot him in the background. I'm kinda curious how the, D-make of this game handles this fight, cause you could sort of do this in a 2D space, depending on how you're gonna want to, play it up, but I don't know. I kinda like how this one plays out. I enjoy this boss fight. I kinda wish I had better damage modifiers, but, what are you gonna do? Anyway, though, yeah, anything else for Axel? I will say, a good idea to, actually include Axel in on the main villains of this game. Like, he's the new guy, but since the villains are actually relevant to him, that means he actually has a purpose in the storyline, and he actually has pre-established relationships with the bosses that he can play off of that X and Zero cannot. And I mean, like, that sounds like it's stating the obvious, but they very well could have just had 8 rando bosses, and then, oh hey, look, here's the new guy, Axel. What's he gonna do? And he just wouldn't have had anything to talk about that was that interesting, but I like the setup overall. I think it's cool that we get this, new team of villains, and the new character is just the guy who knows them, but just doesn't want to be in the club anymore. Alright, and finally X gets Ga rank. I say finally like I didn't just get him. And we got all the guys, nice. But I did miss an item, so I still have to come back here anyway. But the other thing I like about this game, even though, understandably, they couldn't really include X in on the post-level cutscenes. I kinda wish they could've, just so they could've built more of a relationship between X and Axel. But, you know, what is there in concept, at least, is pretty good. I like that Axel and Zero get to talk, and, you know, we even get to see Axel less aggro as well. He's more contemplative in these cutscenes. Like, we'll have to wait a second to see this one, of course, but, once we're done saving, I'm sure it'll be nice. We just get a moment where Axel gets to talk about his past and, you know, his feelings on kind of both betraying and being betrayed by his former friends and allies. It's not a bad setup. And I really like this as a background, too. Like, that's a nice looking sunset. We just have these two hanging out on the balcony. That's neat. I like that.
Changed completely. They aren't the friends I knew anymore.
Axel.
All they cared about was their own power-ups. I devoted myself to data collection.
I'm sorry, I can't take that line seriously.
Them, but the scale of
They
their
only
change
like me for my
was
power-ups anymore!
I couldn't stand it anymore.
They
So
only like picking up heart containers. I can't stand it.
And what?
They used to be fine doing low percent
It's
runs.
nothing. It's just nobody in Red Alert had the ability to use DNA data to power up Reploids.
So, there's a missing link.
Is there a missing link of what? What? This seems like a completely different topic. Alright, well, yeah, like I said, translation is not great. I got completely lost there. Much like Soldier Stonekong, who lost his life. That's the end.